The views and opinions expressed in this podcast do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of ACUMA, its board of directors, its management staff, or its members. The podcast discussion presented is conversational in nature and for general information only.
Hello and welcome to ACUMA's On Point podcast, a series focused on sharing the stories of people who are making a positive impact in the credit union mortgage industry. I'm your host, Peter Benjamin. Today, my guest is Elizabeth Sullivan, Senior Director of Advocacy and Counsel at the Credit Union National Association. Elizabeth, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you, Peter?
I am living the dream. I am thrilled to have you here. I'm a big fan of yours. I love what you do for our industry, the credit union movement. At the same time, it's not often that you find someone in your type of position who actually has a sense of humor. So I'm looking forward to today's podcast. I hope that we're going to laugh a lot. No crying, but we're going to laugh a lot. Maybe we'll laugh so hard we'll cry, but it's going to be awesome. So
I'm
looking
excited
forward
to be here.
Awesome. Thank you. Now, hey, before we dive right in to today's topic, I need to do our normal update. Have Justin. Justin, what's going on with ACUMA? I'm good, man. I'm good. What's going on with ACUMA? What's the latest and greatest? Tell us.
So this year has been packed full of virtual events and some in-person events. We just came back from Denver, our second Viewpoint Regional Summit. Both of them were fantastic. We got to see so much collaboration between the credit union members and non-members just come together and share their points of views and the things that are impacting our industry.
Hence viewpoint.
Yeah, exactly. It was almost like we thought of that.
It's exactly. Maybe our marketing strategy has something to it.
There we go.
There you go.
In just a couple weeks from now, we're heading to Louisville, Kentucky for our second Focal Point workshop. So if you're not registered for that, there's still a little bit of time for you to get those registrations in and come out and see us. It's going to be a great event. The last one that we had in Dallas was nothing short of spectacular as well. I think we all had a great time there, and all of our attendees took some valuable insight and information away from that.
Agreed.
Also, in October, we have our annual event. So that's the big one. So our annual conference is coming October 1st to October 4th. And exciting news is that we're getting closer and closer to opening up registration. So be on the lookout. Registration is set to open sometime early June. So everybody mark your calendars. If it's not there, please pencil it in so that way you can come out and see us in National Harbor, Maryland.
Now, a couple things. I love the summits. I do, but I want to first talk workshops. Dallas was fantastic. It was great. The speakers, the sessions, the collaboration and the networking that we always see at our events, that was amazing, right? I'm really looking forward to Louisville. One, because I've never been to Louisville. We've talked about it. We joked around about it. We know why we're looking forward to Louisville, but it's the event itself. I mean, they really are spectacular. It's why I fell in love with the association, going to ACUMA workshop. So I'm really looking forward to that because we're back in the we'll say the event type that I fell in love with, that made me fall in love with this association. But the summits, I mean, we're talking like a half day, 3 hours of just roundtable discussions, open dialogue, a lot of info sharing. I mean, you walk away with a lot of good information. We're really looking forward to that. But also, finally, annual. We're back here, the DC area, Gaylord National. I'll tell you what, you may have come to the Gaylord National in the past for an ACUMA event. You have not gone to an ACUMA event like this. I've seen the agenda. Of course, I helped put it together. It's going to be awesome. Justin, I mean, what are your thoughts? I mean, it's going to be a great event.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. If you are looking for how we're going to top Vegas last year, I mean, there's even talks of putting Peter in some colonial clothing and everything. There's all kinds of things that we're planning here. Nope. We're trying to twist his arm a little bit. No, you brought up the Viewpoint, and that also reminded me, Elizabeth was actually at our Viewpoint in Arlington.
You took my segue.
See?
No, it's all right.
That's a good way to segue here.
That's how I was going to tie it back to her. So, Elizabeth, you came to our regional summit in Arlington. You were special. You were a special guest. You did a little presentation on LO comp and soon or say changes that were occurring with the CFPB or possible changes with the CFPB and LO comp. But we'll say outside of that, and one, thank you again for helping us with that event and really moderating that roundtable discussion. But from an attendee standpoint, what do you think of that event? That was our first one ever. First, we'll say event like that ever. What was your thoughts on it?
So, I mean, a couple things. Every ACUMA event I've been to, I think you've said it before, but the discussion is always the very best part, right? Listening to credit unions talk to each other. And there's also just an emotional thing to that, helping people help people. If you work in credit unions, like that means something to you. And it's just a very sort of hands-on, nuts and bolts example of watching that happen. For me, as an advocacy attorney, hearing those like on the ground discussions about how things actually work is just so valuable to get that feedback. So I was really grateful to you and ACUMA for letting me come and getting some answers to my questions. That literally before we started recording this, I was typing a comment letter to the CFPB, including some of what I learned at that roundtable. So it was a great event. Thank you. That
was awesome. That's awesome. I mean, and I think that's a part of it. I think that's why one of the reasons why we wanted you to stay is because hear firsthand, right? I think then today's topic, what we're really going to discuss is the importance of falling in love with advocacy, right? And how it can really make you a better lender. Now, I'm going to expand on that now, and I'm going to use what you just said as an example. Oftentimes, and we can use TRID as an example, right? I mean, we can use HMDA 2017 as another example. We can use all of these as an example. We understand why these rules, these acts, this legislation goes through, right? We understand why. Okay. At the same exact time, the practical purpose behind them may not have always been thought through. Okay, how are we going to approach this from procedurally? And so it kind of warms my heart a bit, and to a certain degree, to hear you say, "Well, I'm hearing firsthand how this could potentially impact credit unions out there. How does this possible change prevent them or help them or et cetera? Because they're the boots on the ground, right? They're the ones doing this, right? And so I think that's awesome. And to kind of add to that, if your voice isn't part of that, your voice isn't part of the potential rulemaking. I mean, you said you were responding to an RFI from the CFPB. Well, you know what? If you're not chiming in on this, you're going to be left out, right? It's what's that saying? Like if you're not at the table, you're what's for dinner?
Exactly. And I think you're right to point to TRID. I use the example of TRID all the time. When the CFPB was establishing that rule, they did testing with something like 22 lenders nationwide. And then when they were finished and they went back to do that 5-year review and really step back after the rulemaking and see what did this look like, they got comments from less than 100 financial institutions and trades. So, I do think there's so much opportunity to really provide that on the ground experience back to the regulators if you want to change things or if it's making your life hard. And you're right, it's important.
So it's just out of curiosity, when they did the review of TRID and less than 100 lenders chimed in, you don't by chance know how many credit unions did, do you?
I think it was something like 20.
So that's a good percentage. That's a good percentage, right?
It was. Yeah, it was. But it's also a lot of the non-bank mortgage lenders providing. And then that also includes trade associations and real estate agents and things like that. So there was proportionally, the credit union participation wasn't bad, but 100 financial institutions looking at everybody who's affected by a rule that broad and that costly. It is kind of mind-boggling to me that there wasn't more feedback.
Okay, so let's take a step back. Okay, so you've been in, we'll say, the credit union industry, for some time. You understand the things that impact credit unions, right? Again, the topic today is how falling in love with advocacy can make you a better lender. I guess the first question I have is, before we go down that path, is how did you fall in love with this? We always joke around. I think I went back and I listened to our podcast a handful of times. A number of people who have said, you don't wake up one day and say, hey, I want to be a mortgage lender, right?
Oh man, if I could tell you how many times I've heard that, and I go, I woke up one day and I wanted to be a marketer. Like, how did everybody just fall into this? Yeah,
people fall into mortgage lending. But and listen, advocacy is different. Like being an attorney is completely different, right? But I mean, what prompted you to go down this path? Let's first go down that route.
So, I mean, I graduated law school in 2008. Those were some hard years. I
Sure.
started out working like bankruptcy, and it was deeply, deeply sad, Peter. It was depressing. I would come home from work, and my husband would be like, "You got to find some way to cope with this. Like, got to do some yoga, Elizabeth." So I was like, I have to find something else. I ended up doing actually litigation, mortgage servicing litigation. And, in law school, I was like in charge of the mediation club. I am not, sort of an inherently aggressive person. Litigation, I enjoyed being in court, but it's just not where my heart is. I like advocacy, but I am not necessarily somebody who's super aggressive. When I moved to D, I came into contact with credit unions. I remember I was living in Maine at the time. I had sort of a core memory of Googling credit unions and reading the Wikipedia article and being like, oh, this sounds good. And then when I moved to DC and I started working for NAFCU, doing compliance work, which I think is where I get my sense of humor, Peter, since you mentioned it. Compliance people always have a super dry sense of humor. So I did that for a couple years. And really what hit me is that trying to comply with the rules after they have been set, like you're already behind the eight ball. So I had sort of a natural sense of, what it took to be a good advocate from my time in court. And I also just have a maybe slightly inflamed sense of fairness.
Well, you want what's right, right?
Right, exactly. It's just not fair to these credit unions. So, moving from a compliance space where you are trying to figure out how to cope with what the rules are into an advocacy space where you are trying to have a hand in making the rules something credit unions can live with before they're finalized was really satisfying to me. And it really gave me a strong sense of mission and pride in what I do. And don't get me wrong, I had that in the compliance world, but being able to have a hand and make a difference in the lives of our credit unions really has been the work of my life, I think.
No, I kind of view it up as you're more on the proactive side, right? Let's get ahead of it versus having to react to the change. Exactly. But since we'll say moving over from compliance to that advocacy side where your voice is helping move the needle in the right direction. Were there times where you were just like, I can't believe that actually went through? I gave it my all. I had a sound argument. We did our best, but yet the legislation, the change, the rule, whatever you want to frame it up as, just went in a direction that was not good for we'll say credit unions.
Yeah, I mean, we take a lot of losses. It's also a very long game, though. I think I transitioned really quickly from this did not come out the way that we wanted to, okay, what's the next step to attack this? So, there is sort of this perception, I think, that once a rule is finalized and it's going to get implemented, that like, that's it. This is what we have. We can walk away. And I mean, certainly a certain amount of that is fair because that's the point at which a credit union has to start looking at implementation and doing the training and the processes and buying whatever system solutions they're going to need, all of that kind of thing. So you have money going out the door. So that is fair. But from my perspective, like that doesn't necessarily mean the fight stops. There are procedural opportunities, reviews under the law. There is Congress that you can go to. So even after sort of the crowd leaves, I may still be there beating that dead horse, possibly for years.
I mean, let's use LO Comp as an example, right? I mean, that's been around for a hot minute. It really has, right?
It's a decade now.
it continues to be a point of conversation at almost every single event. Mm-hmm. Like I said, you were in our Arlington Summit talking about this. You were just writing a letter on this. Here we are 10 years later.
Yeah. The CFPB has 5-year reviews, 10-year reviews. And like I said, there's always, the makeup of Congress shifts and something that may not be possible right now in 5 years, 10 years may very well be possible. So I take a lot of sort of long views of these things and, never give up, never surrender. But that doesn't mean that credit unions don't have to cope with it in the meantime. And I certainly recognize that.
Right. I mean, we talked about TRID, right? But it's also HMDA, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, LO Comp, ATRQM. I mean, mean, these are all things that, having been on that lender side, a lot of money and time, if you relate the two, you can easily do that, was spent, and I'll use TRID. I remember, taking, the TRID rule book, that playbook that they put out, and literally having to break down every single section into a spreadsheet.
Mm-hmm.
and then looking at the again, I was with a lender, a non-bank lender, and then trying to figure out who does what in the process on this spreadsheet at what point in the process. A whole bunch of if-then scenarios. Well, what if it happens in processing? Who takes care of it? What if it happens in underwriting? Who takes care of it? And then having to go back and reassess the rules. Okay, well, is it within tolerance? Is it not? And it's at that point in time, I mean, I started just going down the rabbit hole, right? Countless hours, months and months and months. And that was just me mapping out the process. Yeah. That's not even, then we sort of work on the systems, right?
Right. And that also you notice as you were going through that very practical nuts and bolts, what is it going to look like to actually implement this, finding things like the TRID black hole and items that the Bureau had to go back so many times to clean up their own work. And at the end of the day, I mean, absolutely, the CFPB was a baby agency at that point still. They started that process and really pushed it through in a remarkably short period of time, given the size of the project they were taking on. But again, they were doing testing of these forms with only 22 financial institutions. And they sort of said, oh, we don't need to use actual financial transactions to test these. Those will come out in the commentary. And I hope that they learned some lessons coming out of that, because the number of rulemakings they had to do after the fact, in private practice, that would have been horrifically embarrassing. I couldn't have gotten away with that. Only the government. Of
course. Now, I can sense that you're kind of sort of passionate about TRID.
I came to DC and I was working in the NAFCU compliance division starting in 2015. So that was sort of my trial by fire of figuring out how to help credit unions, implement this, calling the Bureau, begging for clarification and scrounging through transcripts that other people had put online, trying to get answers for credit unions. It really was a solidified sort of experience in terms of my identification on a personal level with credit union compliance staff and mortgage lending staff who are trying to do the right thing. But my gosh, they don't make it easy.
No. Okay, so the next question I have is, so we talked about how, why, or we talked about advocacy, right? We talked about the things that happen, and we talked about your love for advocacy and how you kind of came to that point in your career where you're like, enough's enough. I need to get ahead of this. I need to be part of the change. And so the problem is that a lot of credit unions don't, right? They don't chime in when there's RFIs. I would actually be really interested. I know it's still very, very early on, but even as we look at FHFA and the change in credit scoring models, this is something that could potentially impact credit unions and borrowers or borrowing members, for the next year or two. At least in that time frame when things kind of level off. I'd actually be intrigued to see how many credit unions actually chime in on that.
Yeah.
Now,
I would love to hear from them. Please email me.
Right? Seriously, please email me too. But it's interesting. So I guess let's talk about the importance of them falling in love with it. The importance. Let's just talk about why is it important for them to chime in when there's an opportunity to. Why is it important for them to be able to feel comfortable reaching out to their local representative and providing input on a change? Why is that so important?
I mean, number one, it has a direct effect on your happiness when you come into work every day, right? Is it just going to be a complete drag, or are you going to be?
I was in a dark place. I was in a dark place with TRID. Really,
dude,
dark.
It was brutal, but also you want to help your members. You want to help the person who's sitting across from you, and telling those stories and talking about the relationship between these rules and how they actually help the person who is in front of you is the most important message that we can send to regulators or to the Hill. And the truth is, I don't have sight onto that is the person who is advocating on behalf of credit unions. credit unions have to share that with me. I am not sitting at that desk when you talk to that borrower. I don't know those things and I don't make them up. So I need people to feed me those stories so that I can pass them on, or even better, tell them yourself. I can tell Congress, I can tell the CFPB or NCUA, the credit unions are doing great work all day long. The truth is, what this administration wants to hear, what the Biden administration wants, they want real stories and they want data. Those are the two things. And I really just don't have the ability to get those things without credit unions participating. And the more stories we have, the more experiences we have, the more convincing it is for them. But also, you want those rules to facilitate the ability to help the person in front of you to be able to make the loan that your member needs in the moment. And there are so many opportunities, particularly right now, to talk about new innovative programs to serve your field of membership and your community, but without the participation of credit unions and what those need to look at. I mean, you look at the credit scores. We have to know what works. We have to know what works for credit unions. And in order to figure out what works, credit unions have to tell us. So if you care about serving your members, advocacy is an incredibly helpful tool to let you do that better. If you care about your day being chill and not just sad, advocacy is a tremendous tool to make your life easier. And when you're just talking about, stability in your job, making sure that credit unions know how to do things correctly, like there is also a whole second round of advocacy that happens around compliance materials, guidance, trainings out of the regulator, getting clarity and things like that. And we don't know what to ask for if we don't know how people are struggling.
Right. And I think, Justin, I see that you want to ask a question, you're kind of, jumping up and down, raising your hand. But I think real quick, it doesn't have to be at events like, GAC. It doesn't have to be there. Right. Or if you're on the MBA side, it doesn't have to be at MBA advocacy, their week, using the RFIs for LO comp or even, the credit score changes. They're asking for this, right? There's a reason why they ask for this. So chime in on it, right? I mean, that's the moral of the story, right?
Send me an email. My email address is all over our website, but I also, every now and then, I'll tell you what, I don't know why it is, but compliance staff who work on BSA, they are very vocal. They send me emails complaining about all kinds of wonderful things. And I would love it if the mortgage lending staff would get on the train and just send me emails complaining. If you are frustrated with the rule, with the form, I got a vent for you. Just send me an email telling me about how the CFPB is ruining your day. There may not be anything I can do about it in that precise moment in time, but I have a folder and I will put it in there. And the minute that rule comes back around, because I'm telling you, they all come back around eventually, I will pull that baby out and I will put it into a comment letter. I will tell it to a regulator. Your time will come.
That's right. Right? The I told you so moment.
Exactly. You got to send me that email though, so I can put it in the folder. But, I don't know if some people, I think, get nervous talking to their Congress people. Frequently somebody will say, you probably already know this, but, or you've probably heard this before, but, and almost always I've never heard it before and I have no idea. So never think that I am smarter than you, that I know more than you. I guarantee you I do not. And I would love for everybody to educate me all the time.
Well, I think that's the moral of the story is that if you do have the opportunity to speak to your local representative or congressman or whomever, I mean, you're the subject matter expert.
100%. Wear that crown, king, queen.
That's right.
They don't. And I mean, honestly, your Congress people cannot be experts in literally everything under the sun. What are they also going to know about railroad regulations and educational requirements? And no, they can't. You know about mortgage lending. You do. They don't. Educate them.
That's right. Justin.
Yeah. So, I mean, Elizabeth kind of answered it already, but I was really going to ask, how do people find you? And you said your email is on your all over your website. Is there other ways that they can find you and reach out to you? So that way, if they do want to talk, maybe there's like other channels that you're open to hearing from them on. Absolutely.
So we have a blog that, oh my gosh, I forget the name of it. I'm totally blanking. So my email address is elizsullivan@cuna.coop. People are welcome to email me there. The blog is the Removing Barriers blog, on CUNA's website. And that sort of details like what is going on, what is the up-to-date news from a regulatory perspective, what is open in terms of like a comment letter. And people are also just welcome to give me a call. I will share my phone number with you. I hesitate to put it on here because I don't know
we
how
don't want
long
to put
it'll be accurate.
We don't have to mention. We also don't want to put your phone number on recordings because it will be on every single podcast outlet.
That would be something interesting. Then what are those robo dialers out there? And then
3 years
that would
now,
create like a whole nother issue. And Elizabeth would be like, "I'm on this one now." Robo dialers are out.
3 years from now, some poor schmo will be getting phone calls for me, and they'll be like, "Elizabeth has a different phone number now. I don't even know." But my phone number is on our website as well. Elizabeth Sullivan, CUNA. Google that. Send me a LinkedIn message, man. I mean, literally anything.
That's awesome.
There you go.
Well, so
Justin, go.
A follow-up question, I guess, is and nothing to do with contacting you, but you kind of talked about like you graduated law school in 2008. You had your passion, and you fell in love with the advocacy and the credit union space. If you could go back and talk to your younger self, or even talk to people who are kind of like entering into the unknown, if you will, of their careers, and they're just kind of on the precipice of like, I'm going to go in this direction, or I'm going to go in that direction. What advice would you give?
I mean, what I've noticed about like the younger, people coming out of school, I guess Gen Z, I don't know if it's cool to use cohort language like that, but
oh no, of course.
Totally cool. Totally.
We talk about it all the time.
So,
seriously.
They want mission. Like, it's not a perk for them. It's like a core thing. And so much respect. It took me a while to like get there, but the employment market was pretty brutal for me. I think, finding out what moves you without expecting something to be, some deeply passionate or spiritual experience. I think sometimes waiting for something that is this giant, life-saving thing, it can be kind of brutal. I think finding something that just sort of moves you, whether it's having an interaction with a person or having, when I read that Wikipedia article about credit unions, I was like, oh, this is how this should be. My money shouldn't be going to London. I can help with this. It felt very manageable and accessible in a way that like wanting to go, save people's lives as a lawyer didn't necessarily feel to me. Don't get me wrong. Some people can go and do that work in the public defender's office, and mad respect to them. But I knew like after my time in the courtroom, that's not who I am. That's not who I was going to be. But this felt like this is a thing I can do in the world that I can feel really good about, that also feels accessible and achievable. And combining that sort of accessible and achievable thing with something that just makes you feel good. I think that's, at least to me, kid who did not go to school in Washington, D.C. I went to school in Florida, and grew up with a very sort of Midwestern idea of what my job was going to be. Like, that felt amazing for me. And so figuring out what is accessible, achievable, but also makes you feel good. I also probably talk about credit unions an embarrassing amount every time I meet somebody new and they ask me what I do. I'm like, where do you bank? Who has your mortgage loan? Do you know about credit unions? Can I tell you about credit unions? So I would also literally, if any younger person were to ask me that, I would ask them if they knew what a credit union was.
Right. So you're
advocating.
Yeah, right. Advocating for a credit union in more ways than one.
I can't even help. I can't.
So you go out to dinner and you just start advocating for credit unions like that. That just sounds spectacular.
I love it. Yes, that's awesome. That's awesome. Someone else throws down a credit card and it's not from a credit union. I see you.
Oh, I have seen so many Wells Fargo credit cards, and I'm like, I hope that you have that because you're creating a loss for them. Because
Elizabeth said a cuss word.
Did I? Whoops. I didn't even notice.
No. It was the WF word. The WF word.
Yeah. Okay, but seriously, somebody throws that down. You see the little wagon, and I'm like,
Yeah, I gotcha. All right. So real quick, we have to transition away. Before we transition away, any final words? Again, the importance of falling in love with advocacy. I guess really the importance of being part of it. Any final thoughts?
What I would say is to the listeners on your podcast, I work for you. So.
Okay. Love it. Actually, I do have one more question. what gets you out of bed in the morning. So again, you like everyone else, you wake up, you're tired, but something has to keep motivating you to keep pushing forward, right? What is that thing that keeps pushing you forward?
In chronological order, I would say first coffee.
Sure. No. I like the logical answer to that. It was.
I've been waiting for someone to say the end of my REM sleep cycle.
Seriously.
My sleep cycle ended, so I woke up. That's what got me out of bed.
My dogs have to eat. I got to feed my 3 dogs. And then I would say, but what gets me to my computer and to fire it up in the morning is usually something super specific. One of the great things about my job is it's got a lot of variety, and every week is something different. And I would say every week has something that for that moment I care deeply about trying to make happen for credit unions. So this week I've been working on a comment letter about ESIP grants and reporting and trying to make sure that those are reasonable for the credit unions that have already taken ESIP money. And that is my big passion this week. So next week, we'll see what it is.
Yeah. I love it. Thank you very much. All right. So let's transition to, I keep saying it, I'm supposed to say my second favorite part, but it's really my favorite part of the show. Now, again, we sometimes do Jeopardy. We sometimes do trivia. Every once in a while, they let me do bad dad jokes. Actually on the bad dad jokes, before we started recording this episode, Justin and I were going over the podcast list of recordings. And for some strange reason, bad dad jokes, or just dad jokes in general, had the smallest number of occasions that occurred throughout the course of the year. So my favorite thing tends to be the one we do the fewest or the least, which kind of upsetting. But anyways,
it's by design.
By design, apparently. But today we're going to do Jeopardy. Okay, so here we are, a few days away from Memorial Day. Now, Memorial Day is a day of observance, right? But we thought we could do it more so based off of just standard American history. Okay, we can go back. Now, I have 2 Jeopardy templates ready to go, ready and fired up. And I'm gonna bring them into my screen. I know people can't see it, but I'm bringing it to my screen so Justin and Elizabeth, you two can see it. The question I have is, before I do that, I have an easy one and I have one that's kind of sort of hard. Now, when I say the easy one, there are some tricky questions to it, but what are we doing? Hard or easy?
Justin, do you have strong feelings?
I mean, I'm up for a challenge, but
it's hard. Let's
do it.
Let's go hard. Yeah. I would rather miss questions on the hard level than miss questions on the easy level.
And that would make me feel worse if he said, this is the easy one and the first one out the gate. Well, I'm like, what's that?
All right. So we're going American History Jeopardy. The other one was called Murica. So we're not going to do Murica. I was really hoping that we'd do Murica because it has a Lady Gaga question. And I was hoping Justin was going to go in and select that one just to see if Justin knew who the Lady Gaga answer, but it's all good. All right. So let me pop that in. All right. So on my screen is that standard Jeopardy board, 5 categories. Elizabeth at the bottom, you are team 1. Justin, you are team 2. Again, standard categories, 100 points out of 500 points. The categories are presidents, geography, special events, cities and states, and people. Again, this is American History Jeopardy. 1 to 500. For the sake of time, you do not have to answer what is, who is, etc. You can just blurt it out. Now, let's dive in. So, Elizabeth, you are our special guest. You get to go first.
I'm going to try to get smarter as I go. So let's do 500 for special events.
Woo! Okay, good luck. Best of luck. Special events for 500. Marjorie Robb, who died in Boston in 1992 at the ripe old age of 103. Barbara Danton, Movina Dean, and Lillian Asplund, I'm probably butchering that, achieved notoriety for being among the latest living survivors of what?
Gosh, math. Let's see. Math. That would have been 1889 that she would have been born, so not the Civil War.
Oh, you're really going down this
I'm trying.
All right. So again,
golly, could that be the Titanic?
The correct answer is, what is the sinking of Titanic? Elizabeth Sullivan.
I'm in trouble.
By the way, I did the same exact thing on this question when I tested myself on this, and I wasn't confident. I was like you, I was like, the Titanic? I didn't give myself the correct answer, but I didn't say I got it right, but I did guess like Titanic. Justin, you're next.
We're going to go geography for 500.
Ooh, no, I did not get this one right.
No.
The Black Hills lie between which two rivers?
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Let's see.
Can we do crosstalk?
Yeah, seriously.
Justin, I want to see you do that same analysis that Elizabeth did.
I am. So the Black Hills, that was the one of the scenes in National Treasure, the movie. Great movie. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, where is it? Where is it? I like what you're doing.
It was in mountains near. Yep, it was in the mountains, and yep. I'm gonna go. It's between the Rio Grande and the Mississippi.
Technically, I bet that's right.
That is technically right.
Yeah, technically, anything that side of the Mississippi is technically between those two rivers.
There you go. See, but I think I got this right.
I don't think so, but I guess on a technicality.
I would have never got that.
I've never even heard of the
Belfort and Cheyenne.
Yeah, the Belfort and Cheyenne rivers.
But I think mine was close.
Sorry, Justin.
Thanks for creativity.
No. How about this? I won't subtract. I'll give you 0.
No. You got to subtract. Fine. I didn't get it. It's fine.
Man of integrity.
There you go. All right, Elizabeth, back to you.
Let's do cities and states for 500. Yeah, you skipped me off of it.
All right. I think I got this one. All right, I did. Which city was the USA's first World Fair?
Okay, so St. Louis was really early on. I remember me being St. Louis, but then Chicago had the White City, that book with the murder, H.H. Holmes. Which one of those happened first? I'm gonna say St. Louis.
Ooh, what is Chicago? 1893.
You know, right. When your references are H.H. Holmes or Judy Garland, like that's. I should have gone with the serial killer.
You should have. All right, so sorry, I asked the track, but hey, you're still in the lead. You have 0 points, but Justin has negative 500.
Nice.
So don't worry. I told you this one was hard. No one believed me. Justin.
Oh man. Let's go presidents for 500.
Oh,
this one's gonna be hard. I already know it.
No, this one's going to be impossible.
See, when you say things like this, oh my gosh.
All right. So the question is, who in 1963 murdered Lee Harvey Oswald, assassin, according to official accounts of the U.S. President John F. Kennedy?
Let's see. Let me think through this. Like I've got nothing, absolutely nothing. So I'm going to think through this. And I'm going to end up at the exact point I am right now, which is
nothing.
So let's go with some other dude in jail.
Okay. Elizabeth, to you.
I remember the video of it, but I don't actually remember who the guy was. So I'm going to say trick question. He murdered himself.
The correct answer is Jack Ruby. I told you this was hard. The funny is, I told you how hard it was at the beginning.
See,
it was like hard.
You underestimate the words hard and impossible.
No, for me, I'm playing the long game. This is working out. I'm being done.
It's totally working for you.
As we go.
Seriously, but you should have at least started with. I told you I got all the 200s right. You should have just gone 200s.
I actually thought about it, but then when Elizabeth immediately gets 500, I'm going, well, I'm going to lose if I don't try.
All right, so let's do one more question each. And
you forgot to deduct my points.
Mathematically, it's next to impossible for you to win.
This is not true. This is not true. If she gets a minus 500 and, maybe there's a daily double question or something, I don't know.
We've been doing this a handful of times. There's yet to be a daily double on this thing.
I know. There's also no final Jeopardy question, which I'm very sad about.
So we never go to the end. But it is possibly right. If she goes for the 500, and she guesses wrong, and then you swoop in and get it right, it's a tie game.
Like it.
Okay. I like it too. I'll go for people for 500.
I'm not getting this. I'm not good with people's names.
According to the Census Bureau, what are the 5 most common surnames in the United States? Again, you have to list all 5.
Okay. Well, number one, I'm going to file my objection that I have to give 5 answers to this.
Nope, it's still one answer.
I'm gonna Smith.
Okay, that's one.
Johnson.
Okay.
I'm Elizabeth Sullivan. I'm gonna go with Sullivan.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with according to the census. When was the Senate census? Is this the 2010? I presume.
Sure.
Golly, I'm gonna go with Jackson.
Okay. You need one more.
Dang it. I'm gonna go with Rodriguez.
Okay. So I'm not gonna show the answers. So I'm gonna let Justin steal.
Yeah.
So
Because you're 100% not right.
So I'd say Smith,
Okay.
Johnson.
Yep.
Williams.
Okay.
I forgot Williams.
I know. I was sitting here. I was like, Williams would be a good one. Jackson and man, that one's hard.
Right.
Richards.
All right. So before I do anything, I'm gonna go ahead and deduct 500 from Elizabeth, and I'm gonna bring Justin's grand total down to 1,500.
Wait, I lose points for not getting the steal right?
I want you to have the record of the lowest points so far.
I mean, that's what I've kind of been going for at this point.
The correct answer is Smith, Johnson, Williams, Jones, and Brown.
Man,
You know what, Elizabeth?
Justin
We
was
did
pretty
good on
close.
3.
You got 3 of those, Justin. You got really close.
You did.
Jones and
You did.
Brown.
By the way, I did not get this right.
I would love to know
it's
who
actually
does.
5 answers.
Yeah, it's not one.
I mean, you guys are just complaining. So,
Okay. All right.
Listen, I told you this was hard.
We're going. I can't win, but I still want my final question.
Okay.
So let's do city and states for 400.
City and states were.
And if we remember, I did really well on the first one.
You didn't have that. No, the cities and states was.
Dude, just let me take one, okay?
that was
let me have
Elizabeth's
one.
question.
I know she did so well. Like, I mean, come on.
Which city was the first nuclear reactor built by Enrico Fermi? Justin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so these are impossible.
All right. So I want you guys both have to leave this with at least somewhat of an ego boost. So it was Chicago.
So the first answer and the second answer for cities and states was Chicago.
This was written in Chicago. So how about this?
Oh, I
How about this? Each pick a question from the 100s or 200s. Just do me a favor. Just pick
and
one.
if I get this right, it's bad.
Elizabeth, you go first. Give me a question from the 100s.
Special events.
All right. What was the name of the ship on which the Pilgrims traveled to North America in 1620?
That was the Mayflower.
The Mayflower. There you go. See? Redemption.
See, I'm
There you go.
All right. See? We know stuff. We know
do.
stuff. All right, Justin, pick.
Geography 100.
Back to it. My goodness.
Yeah, seriously. Which state is the most thickly forested with 89.8% of its land area classified as wooded by the U.S. Forest Service?
See, told you I was going to get something wrong at 100 on the 100 question. In my defense, I live on the East Coast. We don't have forest over here, and I'm from Tennessee, and we have hills. We don't have forest.
Talk about.
We don't have forest. They're called the Hills of Tennessee.
Okay, so just name a
Then they
state.
say, which state is mostly thickly forested? North Dakota,
Give me another one.
Montana.
I'm not giving you another one. Maine.
Yeah, I've never been to Maine.
Oh, it's
Oh,
beautiful.
you should go.
I should go.
You should.
And
go.
I had hopes of going, but now that I know it's mostly forest.
All right, so
clips.
all right, so I won't deduct points for that.
What are you talking about? I got the record for the lowest score. Like,
You did,
that is
you did.
something.
You did. So I won't deduct the points for the 100 question. I mean, I should. That brings your total down to 1,600.
That's the highest score we've seen, by the way. 1,600.
Impressive.
I know. Thank
Not
you.
even-
Now,
and-
if you put the minus in front of it, it's also the lowest, but still.
And Elizabeth, congratulations. You are the winner with negative 400. Congratulations for winning today's Jeopardy. You don't win anything. You get bragging rights over Justin, which congratulations. Maybe we'll send you a
biggest
coffee.
loser.
That's right. Maybe we'll send you a
There you
coffee mug. But congratulations. Now, Elizabeth, hey, I always enjoy talking to you. I always enjoy hearing your perspectives on the things that are happening in our industry. So I just want to take a moment and say thank you very much for taking time out of your schedule to sit down with us and be part of our fun little podcast that we put together. It really means a lot.
Thank you so much for having me and for everything you guys do. I appreciate it.
Of course. And to kind of close things up, to everyone listening, thank you very much for taking time out of your schedule to listen to our podcast. We know your time is valuable and you are quite busy. So again, thanks again for listening. We hope you enjoy it and we hope to see you at a future ACUMA event. Everyone, take care. See you next time.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time at the ACUMA On Point podcast. If not already, be sure to subscribe and give us a 5-star rating. For more great episodes and information, be sure to visit us online at acuma.org. And to get the latest updates, head over to our LinkedIn page.